Well, I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what they have to say about a wide range of topics, but between now and then, some great guests and information coming your way. We'll have some information, by the way, about how to be heart healthy and avoid stroke and heart attack if you can. We'll also have some tips on gardening, fall and winter gardening, and we'll see why it's so important that UNCG is offering some valuable resources and assistance to military veterans who are students there. All that and much more coming up. But first, we turn to a dynamic duo who was here with us once before, and they're brave enough to come back. Lori Bates, our director, let's see him right now. Next to me is the lovely Kimberly Roberts. She's, of course, Vice President of Cultural Development for Crumley Roberts, Attorneys at Law. And next to her is, I was going to say the lovely Chris Roberts, but that wouldn't be appropriate to say that a man is
not today.
No, not today. As Chris Roberts, President and CEO of the law firm Crumley Roberts, Attorneys at Law. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't think I ever asked you all this. How long have you been married?
It'll be 24 years this December.
Congratulations. So, one of your sons is out in the studio. We can't see him, but he's back there behind the scenes.
Yes.
He's 85 years old. All right, Chris, let me start out with something on you. Now, the firm has grown a lot over the years, almost 3 decades. What does that growth mean in terms of numbers of attorneys, staff, offices, number of offices? What are you doing?
Well, we're still growing today even. We've expanded recently into 2 other states. We have 14 offices in North Carolina, 1 in South Carolina, and now we're associated with some firms where we're going to have an office in Atlanta and in Birmingham, Alabama. So we're growing there. Right now we're at about 165 employees and 27 attorneys. So we're into a lot of different areas.
I don't think I've ever asked you either, off camera or not, what you really get, what kind of gratification you get from your work. But give me 20 or 25 seconds on that. What kind of gratification do you get from doing your work?
Well, I think it's what I do is really, I work on a few cases, but what I really do is help others be able to help folks. And so I'm a small part of a larger organization that really works to help people when they need it the most. And that's one of the things that is most gratifying to me, that I'm able to do that, because I've always been someone who wanted to stand up for the person who couldn't stand up for themselves.
And I was getting ready to say there's a theme there. Of course, I'm not supposed to do a commercial here, but the theme that you all go by is we stand up for you. And I think that Kimberly does that in sort of a different way in terms of community outreach. You're standing up for people throughout the community doing things. What kind of initiatives and things and programs have you been up to?
Well, we really place a huge emphasis on culture within the organization. So we have an entire cultural development department that's dedicated really to making sure that those core values of care like family, listen to learn flow through not only to our clients, but also to our employees and to the communities we serve. And so we have a few cornerstones with, Little Red Jumpsuit Tour being one of those, which is a totally woman-facing program that's been operating for a couple of years, even back before we started having these conversations that we have today about women's issues. And then we have the new Roberts Center for Leadership, Education, Advancement, and Development that is dedicated to lifelong learning.
A lot of good folks coming out of that. And you do scholarships too,
We do. We do scholarships there, and we do nonprofit leadership classes. We also have Crumley Roberts Employee Wellness, which is really the heart of the department because that's employee-facing.
That's where it all started from.
It really
and
did.
your mom being a nurse.
It really
sort
did.
Of, and also Kids Zone.
And then we have the Crumley Roberts Kids Zone, yes.
Chris, real quickly, anything coming up or anything we should know about? Because you all do so many events, so many things that you're into for the community. Anything coming up we ought to know about? Or?
Well, we're working on now kind of bringing these folks in from Alabama and outside of the state into our family, into our culture. And that's something important because we want everyone to feel a part of things. It's a little bit difficult when you're further away.
Right.
But on the community side, Kim has opened a boutique to raise money for the Little Red Jumpsuit Foundation.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very important to us as a Crumley Roberts family, because after all, we are, some people ask, well, why is there a focus on women? Well, Crumley Roberts is 73% women.
Yeah.
So that's really who we are, and it's important that we focus on who we are.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. Up on screen, the Red Effect Boutique in the Heron Village Shopping Center in High Point. The number's on screen there. You can also go to theredeffect.com, giving the proceeds to help with Little Red Jumpsuit and all these great things. CrumleyRoberts.com website is up as well. Congratulations on the boutique. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much,
for
Jim.
everything
Thank
you do.
you.
Absolutely, we're glad to be here.
Good. All right, come back on your next anniversary.
We will.
We'll do that.
Kevin Chris Roberts. We'll be right back. Now on Triad Today, and so glad we could have our friend Dr. Bill Satterwhite here. He's right next to me, and we're going to talk about heart and stroke, something serious to understand it and to prevent it. Dr. Bill Satterwhite's Chief Health and Wellness Officer for Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, and once again, we welcome you back to Triad Today. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
What are some signs that someone might be suffering a heart attack?
Yeah, the most common one is some sort of chest discomfort. So it can be terrible pain. It can be pressure, like an elephant standing on my chest. That's one most people are familiar with. There are others like pain radiating into the arm, radiating up into the jaw or the neck. Some people feel short of breath. Some people feel dizzy and
Can be
lightheaded.
different from men and women?
It can be different. The classic for men is deep chest pain radiating to the left arm. The classic for women is more diffuse and ambiguous than that. I feel terrible, I feel tired, I feel nauseated and weird, I don't feel like I can do anything. And that's very important to be aware of that difference.
All right, so we talk about signs of a heart attack. What about the signs of a stroke?
Yeah, signs of a stroke can be sometimes remembered by this little acronym called FAST, F-A-S-T, F being facial drooping of some sort, S standing for speech, and then we also have ARM, which is the A part of it, and that just is some sort of weakness or dysfunction, and then the T is, hey, it's time to call somebody.
And sometimes you could say, oh, boy, I feel weak in my arm, and then it turns out to be nothing, but you don't want to assume it's going to be nothing, because it could be a heart attack, it could be stroke, so you're a big advocate for getting help quickly,
Right, and there's a timeline for that. So it's amazing things that we can do with our stroke team that actually can come and really unblock the clots that usually are causing the strokes for lots of people so that they can be restored either to full function or close to that, as opposed to sort of the old days where it's like, well, sorry.
So don't be brave and try to tough it out,
No, do not
get
do
help
that.
immediately, because it's better to be embarrassed in the ER that it's not something else than...
It's better to go too early for a heart or too early for a stroke
Right.
than too late.
When it comes to heart health in general, what can you tell us about genetics versus environment?
Yeah, so what percent do you think is genetics related?
In other words, what percentage would it be that if I have heart trouble, it's because my father or grandfather had it?
Yeah.
I would
Heart or
say
stroke.
50%.
Yeah, it's a great guess because that's often what people think. It's actually 20%. So on some level, I'm carrying around a risk for that if my parents have had that. But 80% has to do with how we live and what we do. So what we eat, how much we exercise in our activity, what our weight is, things that we have more control over.
There's on October 14th, and in case this plays somewhere different at a different station, I think it's still important to mention that the Heart Stroke Walk comes up in October every year, and it happens to be October 14th for the year 2018. Tell us about Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center's involvement in the walk in general.
Absolutely. We're a major sponsor of that walk, as we have been for many years, in large part because we think what they do is worthwhile. Lots of research on heart and stroke. And then as a community, sort of saying this matters to us. And it is significant enough where our CEO, Dr. Julie Freischlag, is really leading that this year, that campaign and that walk.
What do you encourage folks to do about visiting the website? Because we always put the website up. I'm getting ready to put it up now because there's something called a heart risk assessment. So why is it important?
Yeah, well, that's an easy sort of quick, skinny way to say, what is my risk for that? So there's no risk-free way to live, right? There's no risk-free way to drive on the highway. They're just things you can do that make it less risky, right? And so this is that same idea. What sort of is my risk for that? How much do I need to be thinking of that? Is it low or is it high where I may need to take action? Right, to try to ratchet that down
And
some.
you can just take that right there on the website and click to it.
Easy to do, short. It takes a couple of minutes at most.
Yeah. They now very quickly, a lot of people don't realize that you're not just a hospital, you're an academic medical center. So why is it important to continue research in cardiology and neurology fields?
Yeah, it's really important in brief because those are two of the most preventable causes of death in America. And they are high causes that often can be sidestepped or avoided or diminished.
So you guys are hard at work trying to figure out what the causes are, how to prevent it, how to treat it.
Yeah.
And what we need to do for now is check out that website. And let's go to it because I promised we would, www.wakehealth.edu. And please go to that and take the heart risk assessment. And we appreciate it if you would do that. Dr. Bill Satterwhite.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, my friend.
Good to see you.
We'll be right back after this. Today, always glad to see someone from my alma mater, UNCG, and this gentleman is doing a lot of great work for a lot of good folks, and we're going to meet him right now. Bradley Wren is Director of Military Affiliated Services for UNCG. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having
Good
me.
to see you. I'm going to ask a stupid question. What does it mean when, and I was looking at an email from you and it says Military Affiliated Services. What does that mean in terms of what you do for the veterans and the overall mission that you do?
Sure, that's a fantastic question. And Military Affiliated Services is actually a new name for us. We were previously known as the Veterans Resource Center.
That's right. That's right.
But we don't only serve veterans. So we serve active duty service members, family members, retirees, ROTC students, even students who are civilians but who are planning on going into the military.
Right.
So we deliberately chose that name because if you are a student at UNCG and you are in any way affiliated with the military, our office is here to serve you.
All inclusive.
All
I think
inclusive.
that's good.
Absolutely.
What is this thing you emailed me about one day that said Veterans Access Program specifically?
Yeah, the Veterans Access Program is a really, really great program that was spearheaded by Dr. Sue Letvak in the School of Nursing, and Sue is also a prior service member. And really, the basis of the program is to give an accelerated plan of study in the nursing program to service members who have a background in the medical field.
So if they were in the field in Iraq or someplace like that and did some medical work, then they can transfer those skills thanks to what you're doing and helping them with.
Absolutely. And at UNCG, that program was the start of a larger university-wide initiative to offer that same type of credit for other folks outside of the medical field. So if you have a military job, an MOS or an AFSC, that's a military job, that is related to or pertains to your potential major at UNCG, we work directly with the Transfer Articulation Office to get you the absolute maximum number of course credit hours that we can for that military
and that's as it
experience and
should
training.
be, because you're really rewarding somebody for the expertise that they have in that. All right, before time gets away with us, there's something you do called Coffee with Veterans. What's that about?
So it's a program that we have in conjunction with the UNCG Alumni Affairs Office, and it basically connects military-affiliated students, primarily prior service members, with faculty, staff, and alums who are themselves prior service members. And the goal of the program is eventually to set up a mentorship program wherein military students are partnered with a faculty and staff mentor when they first come to the university. And then as they're exiting the university through graduation, we connect them with an alum from the university who is a service member who is working in the career field that the student is majoring in to try to help them get a network started out in the workforce.
I know that you were in the Air Force, and so just sort of sum up for me, based on what we've been talking about the last few minutes, but come at it not as an administrator, but as a veteran. Why is this service so important, and why should it be available all over, all universities doing it?
Well, the transition to civilian life from the military is in itself very difficult. You know, a lot of times folks go from the military right out of their parents' house. So they've had no decisions, they've not had to make any decisions for 18 years, and then they go into the military and the military makes all their decisions for them. And so you do 10 years in the military, you come out and you're 28 years old, you've never had to make a decision before, and you're now having to make all sorts of decisions.
Yeah.
And particularly in the university system, you know, the idea is that we want to encourage our students to be more independent and make those decisions on their own. Well, that's great for an 18-year-old first semester freshman,
Right.
but if you are a non-traditional age student, as most prior service members are, it's difficult to navigate a lot of those questions. And so
Right.
it's great to have a primary point of contact for those folks. So if they have questions or need help with particular issues, they can come to us and they know who to come
Well, I'm glad you're doing that. Up on screen, the website veterans.uncg.edu, and I'll also throw up there, I think we have Twitter at UNCG Military and Instagram, hashtag UNCG Military. I hope you guys will check that out. The audience will look at that, and our radio listeners as well. Thanks for all you do, Bradley.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for
All
having
right,
me.
sir. We'll be right back after this. Today, and this is one of the favorite segments that I like to do a few times a year, is when this lovely lady drops by. But she never comes empty-handed. Next to me is a lovely Adrienne Rothling. She's Director of Curation and Mission Delivery at Paul J. Senior Botanical Garden in historic Kernersville, North Carolina. Welcome, dear.
Thank you. I'm still getting used to that title.
Yeah, it's a long title. We're out of time. Now you brought a bunch of stuff
Yes.
here, but before we get to this, now I've always heard that fall is the best time to plant shrubs and trees in general. Is that true?
Yes, I have to agree, especially this fall because we've had some nice rains. We just unfortunately had that 6 inches with the hurricane that came through,
Yeah.
but hey, I haven't had to water since.
Now, well, that's right. It's a good point. Now, what is it true? Is that also true for seeding? If somebody says, "Well, I got my bushes under control, but I need to reseed the lawn," it's the same.
Yes, and everybody always says like middle of September, but ideally, as long as the temperature's warm, even through November, still do it. 70 degrees. Grass germinates when it's 70 degrees.
So do I, but that's another story. Now, now you brought something that looks to me like hydrangeas. Now, I don't know if Lori can see this on the cameras. There's one that's kind of purplish and one
Yeah.
that's kind of white.
Yeah.
Where are we? Lori, you want me to bring this over here? Where are we?
Ah.
I'm going to bring it right in front of me. All right, so we got some really colorful stuff here. Now, this is what?
They're all but one are hydrangeas.
Okay, which one is not?
That's a viburnum.
That's a viburnum.
Yep.
I've never heard of that.
Yep. Viburnum typically flowers in the spring. However, this particular one flowers twice. You'll get repeat blooms in the fall. So that white one, actually, I plucked that from our plant at the garden.
Oh, so now this is growing now at the garden. All right, so what is it you want to educate me about with this if somebody wants to get one like this and plant it?
So we do have 2 plant sales a year, one in spring, one in fall. They typically are the Saturdays, but I'm going to extend the plant sale into the week so you can come back. But what's cool is we've gone beyond, as horticulturists, we've gone beyond the simple blue hydrangea, pink hydrangea, viburnum that only blooms in the spring, azalea that only blooms in the spring, because now look at all these colors of hydrangeas we have.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple of native hydrangeas in there too. A lot of people aren't aware that there's native hydrangeas to the United States. So the pinkish one in the front and the white one just behind it, the small white one behind it, are part of the native hydrangeas.
Yeah, so, all right, now, Lori Bates, our director, I'm going to slowly move this out of the
Yep,
way, and I
yep.
want to bring this one
Yep.
over here.
Okay.
Now, maybe I can get them both in the same shot. Now, what is
We're
this?
also
This is not
transitioning-
marijuana, is it? What is this?
I have never tried to smoke it,
All
but
right,
that's a great
what
idea.
is this right here?
Okay, so that is kale.
This is kale?
Yes. And so what's funny is, so now we're transitioning to the vegetable garden too, so we're doing cool season crops. What's cool is I received this from a friend of mine, this kale. He brought it to me and I planted it in the garden last October, so a year ago. It survived that cold winter we had back in
Wow, the
January.
8-degree weather, yeah.
Yeah, for like 7 days in a row.
Wow.
And we took cuttings of that, so that is a rooted cutting.
Did you have to cover this up during the?
No, not that one. It's the only plant we did not cover, or that we didn't cover that survived the winter.
That's amazing. Now, you mentioned vegetable garden. I want people to remember something. Sometimes I forget to say this, but people say, "Oh, I'm going to go see the botanical garden." The garden, but there's actually lots of gardens in the garden, right?
Yes, yes. In fact, we had 100 kids yesterday to tour the gardens, and they were so super excited about everything because we're just filling their minds. They're so absorbent. We're just filling their minds with so many details about different things: milkweed, the pollinator gardens, the elephant ears, and they're showing off their big ears. I mean, it's just.
And you have a kitchen garden.
We have this wonderful kitchen garden where we actually will pick something out of the ground, chop it up, and let them sample it. It's
Wow.
fresh.
That's neat. So the kale would be part of the vegetable garden, or the kitchen garden.
Yep, in our kitchen garden. Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, what is this?
So we have also leafy plants. And again, we're just really trying to show people that it's just not your green leaves. We got purple leaves, we got variegated leaves.
go.
We got leaves that are just, highlighted with different colors. This is a great industry. And a lot of people think horror things like with GMOs and it's not native, but you know what? I wouldn't be growing it if it wasn't beneficial and crucial for our environment.
That should be your slogan. I wouldn't be growing it if it wasn't beneficial.
Yeah.
Are you running for office or something? This has no smell to it. Is it supposed to have a smell to it?
So I didn't bring anything that smells.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
sorry.
Because the last time you came, you brought something that smelled, and it was.
That's right.
Now, this is great. All right, let's remind everybody where the garden is. Botanical Garden is in downtown Kernersville, and up on screen, scenerbotanicalgarden.org. There's a gift shop there. There's a place you can lease out to have weddings
Yes.
and receptions and business meetings. It's a great place. You really ought to go.
Thank you.
Fun for all ages. Adrian, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Today, before we get to the roundtable, I want to do something I've never done on this program before. I want to take a moment to make a statement. Here's what I want to say. No matter who you believed in the recent Supreme Court hearings, the fact is that in this country, women and minorities continue to be judged by a bunch of old white men, and that's wrong. I'm an old white man, and I don't know what's best for women or minorities. I don't even know what's best for me most of the time. I'm an old white man, and I don't know what it's like to be sexually assaulted. I'm an old white man, and I don't know what it's like to testify in front of a bunch of people who don't look like me. What I do know is that things have to change. We need more women and minorities in the state legislature and in Congress, and we need more women and minority judges on the local, state, and federal level. I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just an old white guy, but I do know one thing. If you want change, you have to vote in November. And if you don't vote, then don't complain that everybody in power looks like me. All right, let's, thank you guys. Thank you.
Well said,
Thank you.
old white man.
All right. No, Keith, let's clear something up here. Let's clear something up. I can call myself an old white man. You, Keith, cannot call me an
I
old.
apologize. I apologize.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Hope you'll pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. You got a thing about fraternities in there. Hate them. All right. And now let's get to the roundtable. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, that award-winning broadcaster and journalist. Next to him, Sheriff of the World, B.J. Barnes, who once arrested Keith and Ogie just for being Democrats. And Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants, doing a lot of good work around the country getting people registered. Okay, guys, let's pick up on something here. I don't want to get into the whole minutia about the Supreme Court thing, but whether you like it or not, this stuff has gotten real political. And people say, oh, the Supreme Court shouldn't be political, but it is. Why don't we just chunk it all, change make an amendment to the Constitution, and the people start electing Supreme Court justices? Ogie.
Now, that'll make the problem worse, Jim. That doesn't address the partisanship at all. What we need to do is go back to the way with the 60-vote rule, which would force the president to nominate somebody more toward the center. And it's my Democratic brethren, Harry Reid, who started this.
Yeah. What do you think? Should we be able to elect a Supreme Court justice?
No, I don't think so. I think first off, you're going to have outside money involved in any election that you're involved in. I think that's going to taint a lot of things.
Keith.
I think what Ogie said was best. Go back to the 60-vote rule that the Democrats abolished, and now they're mad because they abolished this rule and allowed to be less partisanship. But this Supreme Court confirmation has been very partisan, and the judge has been very partisan, when I think if he would have stayed in the middle of the road, he would have had a better opportunity to be confirmed.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the Supreme Court, for you fans or enemies of the Citizen United thing, the court has now ruled that if, okay, you can do this, you can give all this money, but now you've got to reveal who your donors are. Guys, is that going to have a big effect on the midterms or the 2020 election? Will people stop giving money because they don't want to be identified? Ogie, quickly.
Well, there's something weird about this ruling, Jim, because you alluded to this is the Supreme Court that gave us Citizens United. This kind of goes contrary to Citizens United. There's a backstory here, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
You get donations because you
I
run
do
for
get
office.
donations, and I have to list every single one of them. You can't be hiding or private or anything else. Now, if it's under $50, of course, you can put it in a group, but anybody can find out who it is. I still have to know who gave me the money.
Mr. Cranberry.
I think what is going to happen is going to be move more people toward the nonpartisan as far as the issues, but they're still going to be very partisan, and a lot of people won't give if their name is being recognized. They won't do it.
A new study says that 31% of Democrats and 19% of Republicans say they have actually ended a friendship or cut off a family member because of arguing over politics. Guys, have you ever lost a friend because of politics? Ogie.
Yeah, I'm sad to say that I have. I mean, I kind of sometimes wish I weren't such a political beast, but unfortunately I have, yeah.
BJ.
You know, I only have the one friend, that was Keith, and he's so wishy-washy.
Yeah, you can kiss that. That was gone right there.
I've lost Facebook friends, but no true friends ever.
Yeah, whose phone is going off? Is that Keith's?
Oh my God,
Keith, Keith, all these women that call Keith here on the show.
No women call me on the show.
All right, so anyway, what do you think?
I think that I haven't lost any friends, but I have had great arguments, but I haven't lost any friends.
All right, an 8th grade history, changing the subject, an 8th grade history teacher in Florida was recently fired because she refused to honor her school's policy of not giving zeros to students who fail to turn in their assignments. Should the teacher have been fired? Quickly, guys, and do you think students should still get a passing grade even if they don't turn in their work? Ogie.
Well, no, they're not going to fire her. I think she started the scale at 50, which is a little odd to me. I mean, you got to turn the stuff in. You
got to do the work.
Got to do the work.
That's what's wrong now, no accountability. No, they should not fire her.
Keith.
I have to agree with the sheriff. They should not fire her. They need accountability. Kids need to learn.
Yeah, you don't turn in the work, you
Don't
can't
do-
just automatically get a D or a C minus or something like that. How much time do we have, Brian? All right, Brian says we got 25 minutes, so we can just talk about whatever we want to. Oh, the 13th District congressional race is tightening up. The first term incumbent Ted Budd squaring off against Greensboro attorney Kathy Manning. Quickly, guys, they say the polls are tightening. Does a Democrat have a chance of winning that seat in a Republican district, Ogie?
It's a good race. I tell you, if we got any chance at all, this is probably the year.
On any given Sunday, any team can beat any other one. It's possible.
But you like Ted. He's a strong candidate.
I do like Ted.
All right, Keith.
There's a lot of money flooding in for Democrats in North Carolina, and they have a great chance. of
Yeah, I
winning
will
that
say,
seat.
just looking way ahead, if anybody wants to mark their calendar, last week of October, we're going to have a special Triad Today, and we're going to have Ted Budd and his opponent, Kathy Manning. We'll have Mark Walker and Ryan Watts and Dee Dee Adams from the 5th District, too. Virginia Fox will not appear on that, didn't want to. Anyway, that's coming up at the end of the month. All right, first it was IHOP. Now Dunkin' Donuts is dropping part of its name. They said, we're just going to be known by Dunkin'. Does this make any sense to you, Ogie?
I'm not sure that that's not a marketing ploy like the iHod thing was a total marketing ploy. It was a ruse.
Sheriff.
He's absolutely right. They got all this media because of it.
Yeah, Keith.
I think they should call themselves Sunken Donuts. 'Cause nobody's going to buy that.
All right, and finally, there's a new matchmaking website available to people who just want to meet for lunch, not get involved, just meet for lunch. It's called itsjustlunch.com. Guys, if you want to date a woman, would you use this website and only have lunch? Ogie.
Well,
I know y'all are married,
I'm
but
not all that, but I don't have trouble getting lunch dates with women. I wouldn't have to use it.
you wouldn't have to use
But
that.
is this like a hookup site really in disguise?
It's just
is
for
that what
lunch.
it
Yeah.
is?
Sheriff, would you?
I have no problem. I mean, going out to lunch or whatever. If I was single, yeah, I would
Now,
do
Mike
that.
Pitts can't do this because he won't go out with, to lunch with other women. But Keith, what do you think? Lunch only?
Are they paying? I want to know.
Hey, true Democrat.
Golly.
I need to know.
That's
Free
all,
lunch. Free lunch.
that's all the time we got. Oh, except for this. A Los Angeles high school football coach was fired last week because his players spiked the team's drinking water with Viagra. Busy parents are now worried that the games will start lasting for more than 4 hours. Do you know what that means?
Kind of get it, Jim.
All right, for all of us here on Try It Today, we'll see you next week.